All right, guys. So yesterday we talked about the 1920s and the impact that certain things were having on the 1920s. So let's go ahead and pick up where we left off. Now, also during the 1920s, we have popular entertainment such as radio and movies, which are attracting millions of loyal fans and help create the first media stars. This is true. During the 1920s, again, this is big idea, radio stars and movies. And we're going to see this new culture that's going to develop, this culture as a whole, because people from all parts of the United States, the South, the North, the West, are all looking at the same thing and watching the same people. And we're going to dress that same way. Now, the Red Scare allowed African American culture to gain the acceptance of mainstream America, specifically hip hop, which was a new European art form that became very popular in the 1920s. Of course, this is false. Okay. It is the Great Migration, which allowed African Americans culture to gain acceptance, which we've already talked about, and we understand what the Great Migration was, how it was. It advocated getting out of the South, and of course, the new art form was going to be jazz, and this was an original art form that came up from the South. And then it's going to have a mass explosion across the 1920s. And we can see right here, guys, when we look at this image, what does this image tell us about the Great Migration? It tells us that we can see entire families packing up everything they own and moving into the northern cities. Of course, we know World War I advocating for the job opportunities open up, but let's not forget to what's going on in the South. The Jim Crow laws, to escape segregation, to escape these type of laws, which were limiting them from gaining and having true success. So this is a great image of kind of just symbolizing what the 1920s were. We see that they have a vehicle. Vehicles, again, are now something new that Henry Ford, because of mass production, is introducing, giving people the opportunity to move at a greater speed. We're seeing more infrastructure being built by roads. So this tells us a lot. And we can see here in this map, the percentage of African-American population living in the American South has drastically declined. And we can see the greatest decline between 1910 up until 1970s. So the Great Migration was not something that it was like, here's a 2-year event. No, it was a gradual movement. And we can see that now, when we look at in 2010, when we look at the African-American population, that it's not just dominant in the South, only around 57% live in the South. So it having a more diverse America because of that. And again, if I was to tell you to take one thing with you, the one thing you would take with you is your culture. And then it's going to begin to blend with other cultures. And that's what we're going to see as a result of it, and jazz being that example. Now, Lance Armstrong called the first important soloist to emerge in jazz because the music he played was improvised and creative, setting the standard for future jazz actors. I may have got some of y'all on this one. It is not Lance Armstrong, and it's not actors. It is my main man, Louis Armstrong, and of course, he is going to set the foundation for musicians. Now, the Bolshevik Revolution was an African-American literary and artistic/political movement that expressed pride in the African-American experience. It also celebrated African-American culture through words and dance. Now, we should know this is, of course, false. It is the Harlem Renaissance, and the Harlem Renaissance, big idea here, guys, was a cultural movement, okay? And it's not necessarily going to be through dance. It's going to be more through songs. All right. And again, we've already read the poem by Langston Hughes, I Too Am American. And that kind of breaks down what he's talking about, the things that he's exposing, and he's doing this through poetry. So he is a major symbol of that movement. And again, Langston Hughes was a famous poet and writer of the Harlem Renaissance, whose writings were about the African-American experience and, of course, heritage. All right, so we will pick up where we left off, but only get 5 minutes per video on this that I'm using. So I'm going to